People like Herman Hulst are the reason why the video game industry is struggling right now. Sure, Trick Weeks and Corinne Bushes are being hired to direct and write Dragon Age The Veilguards, but without Herman Hulst, games like that would not be greenlit, and of course, Concord would not have happened if it wasn't for Hulst. But now we're finding out that he has been demoted at Sony as Hideki Nishino is taking over as the sole SIE CEO. But before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the years, Sony has struggled, and when they had announced this dual CEO situation not even that long ago, we were all wondering how long that was really going to work out. But it seemed that they were pretty confident in this announcement that, oh, they thought that this was the best way forward after Jim Ryan was leaving Sony. And, well, it hasn't lasted very long because a dramatic restructuring at Sony Interactive Entertainment has seen the company abandon its short-lived dual CEO structure, removing Herman Hulst from his co-CEO position and leaving Hideki Nishino as the sole leader of PlayStation. The change, which takes effect on April 1st, 2025, signals that Sony's attempt at shared leadership was not working as planned. Now, this is so funny to me because I do not like Herman Hulst. But then again, before the co-CEO situation was announced, I did not like Jim Ryan. He was out after severely damaging the company during their FTC case. There had been years of censorship controversies. And then, of course, at the very end, we saw the massive PlayStation Plus price increases, which infuriated gamers. And it just seemed like there was no way these two were going to do any worse, especially with how much Jim Ryan's image had tanked. But, well, Herman Hulst is the reason why we got Concord in the first place. So Hulst, who had previously led Guerrilla Games and has been a strong advocate for Sony's ill-fated push into live service gaming, will now focus exclusively on PlayStation's first-party studios under the title of CEO Studio Business Group. Meanwhile, Nishino, formerly overseeing hardware, accessories, and PSN, will now control all major business decisions as the head of SIE. Maybe hiring Westerners isn't going so well for them, so they decided, you know what, we're going to hire this Japanese man to do the job, and maybe he can bring us back to those glory days. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of faith in Sony anymore, but there's not really much worse that they could do after losing $500 million on one single game, that being Concord. Herman Hulst is actually the one who went out of his way to acquire Firewalk Studios. He had for years been in talks with the people who had previously owned Firewalk to have exclusive publishing deals, and then of course they got Firewalk, and then he, as far as we are aware, pumped like $300 million extra dollars into this game. And well, we saw how that went. And I don't think that Concord was the only reason why he's gone, but I do think it is one of the major reasons. When you have lost a company $500 million on one single project, yeah, that's not going to look particularly good on your resume. And while Concord was a total flop for them, it also led to a lot of other casualties that were supposed to be just as successful. The Last of Us multiplayer was Naughty Dog's ambitious but troubled online adaptation that was scrapped after years of development. Spider-Man: The Great Web was a multiplayer Spider-Man game from Insomniac that never saw the light of day. Twisted Metal multiplayer and Foam Stars were all live service attempts to cash in on either fan favorite franchises, or like Foam Stars was supposed to be similar to Splatoon and it was supposed to be big. So these were all officially canceled around the time of Concord's flop. And Last of Us multiplayer had been rumored to be canceled years and years before that because it had been an on and off, oh, we're working on it, oh, we might not be working on it type of situation. But clearly, this failure did lead to a lot of other failures, and then we just got the God of War news and the Horizon news, so flops all around. And not only was Concord a failure, but he is also a big reason why they have pushed so much for live service. Now, yes, a lot of companies are doing this. A lot of companies believe that this really is the future of gaming, and while gamers are not super happy with this strategy right now, they'll come around to it. I don't think that's going to happen, at least anytime soon. I think it's going to take years and years of successful live service games like Helldivers 2 to come out, and we've really only had like 2 or 3 that have been good. And Sony had just canceled a bunch of live service plans, like with a God of War live service title, which sounds like nightmare fuel. But yeah, I mean, he had been part of a lot of pretty big things. I'm not saying that he only had doom and gloom surrounding his career. If you take a quick peek, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, Helldivers 2, Last of Us Part 2, Remaster, Remake, Reboot, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Death Stranding, Ratchet and Clank, going back to like Ghost of Tsushima, one of my favorite games of all time, Demon Souls. So he has seen a lot of success, and he's got a pretty big resume as a managing director or support or as the head of PlayStation Studios starting back in 2020. But again, he has had some really major failures, and they're clearly not just going to forget about all of those anytime soon. As the article also states, Hulst's unwavering stance was put on full display in a recent interview with Famitsu, where he doubled down on Sony's dedication to the controversial live service business model. When asked about the catastrophic failure of Concord, which launched to near universal disinterest and led to the closure of 2 studios, Hulst sidestepped the debacle and instead spoke in vague platitudes about technological advances and the evolution of gaming. So he would not even take accountability. And as a CEO, again, you do have to take some accountability, or you do at least need to know when you need to speak on a situation, and he clearly did not. And look at how bad Concord did. We do not have console numbers, but one would assume they are not drastically different from the Steam ones, and well, it launched to 697 people. And again, it was only alive for less than 2 weeks. So I don't think, there's much he could say. It's not like he could spin this in a very positive way, but he could have at least spoken about it and said, hey, we completely missed the mark on that. But I just think that Concord is a major reason why he is also now out. And I do think that there's going to still continue down this path of like live service and massive budgeted games. I don't think we're going to see any sort of like major shift in the Sony mentality anytime soon just because he's out. But it is still really interesting to see that this didn't even last that long. It was only back in May of 2024 that they announced this, so it wasn't even a full year, and it's not even going to be a full year by the time he's actually out. So maybe over the next few years, this individual who is now the sole CEO, Nishino, will do a really good job, but it's very hard to sit here and put any trust or any faith into Sony or anybody running this company, because we see how they've been over the years, especially with the, again, live service, the big budgets, controversies with censorship in video games. And he is probably one of the reasons we also had some censorship going on at Sony and between them and Shift Up. So I will be keeping my eye on this. It will be interesting to see if he makes any like really big statements, or if we even hear any leaked information regarding the situation, if we get any even confirmation that Concord was really the straw that broke the camel's back. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.